All right, so looking for kind of that one magic idea to have a great backhand. What I want to do before we get into that, which I believe is consistency. The big ideal we want to have on backhand is consistency. Forehand, you know, I think as a lot of you know, I try to set up my forehand with a ton of variety. Okay, so I'm going to run through a few shots. You guys have seen a lot of my material. Everything I'm about to show you is definitely a viable option on the forehand. I'm going to get in here, hit a couple open stance forehands, maybe standard finish, open stance, buggy whip, maybe a little windshield wiper. Okay, let's say Mark even backs me off, right? I'm gonna jump back, maybe jump up, hit that heavy, high rotating ball. I might even stay in and play that forehand from shoulder height and try to attack the guy. Let's come over to the backhand side. What's going to make my backhand great? Having that much variety in my swing? To me, it's absolutely not. The key to having a great backhand is hitting the ball consistently in our strike zone, which on this side, this backhand side, should be somewhere around waist level. If Mark feeds me a ball and it's already at waist height, okay, and I just step in and hit, I think you guys could see if I could hit that swing all the time, whether his ball moves me back, brings me in, I'd be so happy if every time I just struck the ball in front of me, got a decent amount of top spin, solid weight transfer. The finish, you know, as we know, we don't play around with the follow through too much on the backhand. It's not like I'm trying to have a rodeo backhand finish. Sure, I might throw in a little flick here and there, but ultimately my idea for having a great backhand is now if Mark's feed comes into a different spot, I'm trying to create the same stroke out of that kind of strike zone context. Okay, what if he brings me in a little bit? Okay, and I'm going down the line there so you guys kind of get a good visual on the swing. From each position, my thought is, hey, you have a good backhand swing from low to high, around waist level. Let's use it all the time. Let's not get cute and as the high ball comes in, try to hit something by our shoulder. Let's not see the low thing and, you know, try to get this strange follow-through position going. It's really about cookie cutter, low to high backhand, great weight transfer, good contact point, and allow the backhand to just be consistent to set up what for a lot of us is the stronger forehand, and with more variety on that side should allow for better chances to go ahead and finish points off, attack the opponent. There's just so much more option over there. So with that being said, consistency in your contact point in that strike zone area is the tip that I have for you guys that's going to allow that backhand to really be considered great. How do we take advantage of our opponent's backhand if we feel like our backhand is playing strong? Really something to be aware of here is the first thought is that backhands breed backhands. Let me show you what I mean by that. Mark's going to feed me a ball in here to my backhand side. Again, I feel like you guys know that a cross-court ball to my backhand where I go up the line and I redirect it, pretty low percentage unless the ball he's given me is so incredibly weak that I could put it anywhere I want. So any significant amount of pace, spin, or depth, and his backhand to my backhand, they just kind of breed this cross-court rally. So that's a way to get somebody to give you more backhands where you can prey on theirs. Okay, so Mark, let's rally backhand to backhand here. Okay, so there's a good example right there. Mark hung with me. All right, so let's say that rally just keeps going. All right, so if I feel like my backhand's stronger than his, I should outlast him. What happens a lot is if we feel very strongly that our backhand is consistent, it's well placed into the corner, and this opponent maybe doesn't rely on their backhand as much as we do, they're more likely or more prone to go up the line on that redirect sooner than you would. Okay, and we're happy to have that occur because, as we know, they're taking on more risk. You might get them to make an unforced error. And worst case scenario, they make the ball and we're hitting a rundown forehand. Happy to do that. Okay, so backhands breed backhands. That's one good way to start taking advantage of your backhand against your opponents. All right. Now the second one, again in the thought process of how can I get this player to return the ball into my ad side of the court, would be when I'm serving on the ad side, utilize that kick serve out wide. Okay. So if I'm in this position, kick serve into Mark's backhand. Okay, so here's a great example right there. Not a ton of pace on that return because I've got him stretched high to the backhand. If he's a good player, even though that shot, we wouldn't call that a great shot from Mark, but it's the prudent play for him. It's the percentage play is to hit cross court and get himself into the rally. So what do we know? We're trying to prey on his backhand because we think our backhand is stronger. So now all of a sudden I've got this ball sitting here, and what am I going to do? I'm going to get into thought number one, which is cross court to cross court backhand. Now, back to the idea that Mark wants to take some risk. He doesn't want to get into these backhand rallies with me. All right, so he's going to go ahead and try to hit a backhand return off my kick serve down the line. Maybe he misses it, maybe he makes it. If he does make it, here I go running down my forehand again. All right, so these are scenarios where the percentage play from a pretty decent opponent sets us up to see backhand early in the rally. Okay, now a third scenario I like, and we're going to kind of just get into this straight with a standard rally, is, as a lot of you know, I like the idea that cross court at the start of the rally is a very good idea. It's higher percentage for you as the player, and you know, just more margin for error. Honestly, the net's lower, you know, bigger target, but I'm trying to get into this guy's backhand. So if you really trust your forehand, then what I would say is this: earlier in the rally than maybe I've said in the past, we're going to get in that forehand down the line. Pretty heavy. You know, again, I'm not aiming for the sideline. I'm really not thinking that this is that passing shot idea. It's, again, how do I engage my opponent's backhand? So I'm still aiming 3 feet inside the court, working the ball deep. All right, here goes Mark into the backhand. What should he do there? He should absolutely come cross court. So again, I take a little bit of extra risk than maybe I normally play with by taking my forehand up the line, but it's a calculated play to get this backhand to backhand, you know, relationship going between me and my opponent. All right, so there's 3 scenarios right there if you really trust your backhand. And I'll be honest, this is not anything I would do. I'm always looking to get the forehand going, and you know, again, be steady with the backhand, but I'm really not that comfortable looking at a guy's backhand and saying, all right, let's go head to head, backhand to backhand. It's just not for me. But these are scenarios for all of you out there that are looking to do that. One final point on this. As a lot of you know, if Mark feeds me a ball into this zone here, or we're in a rally and he gives me a ball in this zone, it's not really penetrating the court. I think most of you out there know that my play would be, you know, to come up and take advantage of my forehand from an interior position on what would have been a backhand. So you think about Djokovic, you know, some of these other guys that there's not a huge discrepancy between their forehand and their backhand side. You know, that's maybe one other layer to this idea is you might not be running around as many backhands as maybe I would. You might just be taking that ball with your own backhand from an advanced position, having even a little more success from here, getting into your opponent's backhand in the corner over there. Okay, so that's obviously a lot going on there, but ultimately the takeaway is backhands breed backhands. So find ways at the start or middle of the rally to get the ball into the opponent's backhand, and you really should find yourself in these backhand to backhand encounters. It's extremely, extremely common. Okay, so how do we keep from really getting crushed in on the backhand side? And I'll preempt this answer by just saying let's get out, let's make sure we're practicing the backhand, right? It's completely okay to feel stronger on the forehand side, not what I'm saying at all, but let's get out and practice the backhand so it just doesn't ultimately go away under pressure. But couple tips here. The first is positioning. I want to be clear about how significant 1 to 1.5 steps of positioning can be when we're in a rally. Okay, so if I'm in the center of the court and Mark and I are rallying, go ahead, Mark. You know, right off the bat, Mark, you would agree, you feel like you have a lot of room into that backhand side, correct? Okay, so my thought is, if I go 1 to 1.5 steps to my left, okay, there's one, maybe I go another half. All right, and now we're in this rally, Mark. How comfortable do you feel threading the ball into my backhand side? Pretty, definitely tougher, right? Okay, so that's like a cheat. I mean, you've seen this at the pro level all over the place. Sampras used to do this. Sampras loved to run his forehand down from a little farther distance. He's got a great backhand, obviously. He just loved his forehand. He wanted to create more room to see forehands. Okay, so that little cheat of just repositioning the body slightly to here, and now I get into a rally, I've got it easy time getting away from my backhand, and that will be a very common thing. The opponent still feeling like, hey, I want to attack his backhand, sees a lot smaller window, has to be a lot more accurate, and a lot of times now a few unforced errors start to creep in on their end, and guess what their response will be? I better stay away from there. And now all these balls tend to gravitate back out to the middle or to the forehand side. So as simple as that might sound, be really aware of your ready position and slightly staggering to the left. Be very consistent with that position and see if your opponent has as much success getting into your backhand, okay? Secondly, where I hit the ball dictates a lot of times where the ball is going to come back to. As we've seen already in this segment, backhands breed backhands. So if I'm out here hitting my backhand cross court, Mark's ball should come back cross court. So as much as we might be thinking, well, my backhand's a little bit of a liability, I shouldn't hit it down the line, I agree with that. What's the other option? It's the middle of the court. I want you guys to remember, from the center of the tennis court, we do not have great looks at angles, okay? And a lot of times the ball, if it's struck well, it gravitates back to the middle of the court. Take a look. If I'm in the middle and I target the middle, Mark's got not a great look at working either his forehand or his backhand, whichever one he chooses to hit. He doesn't have a lot of workability to this side because his ball is just naturally going to be fading outside the court. He can't hit it with that much authority, and if he does, a lot of times he's going to drive it wide or long. All right, so it's a really interesting thought, well, shouldn't I be hitting away from my opponent? Again, we're back to the idea, we're trying to avoid seeing a lot of backhands, and hitting to the center of the court, if you need to avoid a few backhands, is an awesome play. I want you guys to try that out. It's really incredible how that works out. Okay, now to tack something onto that, my third idea is depth. All right, even if I end up going with some cross-court backhands and those shots are breeding each other, what do we know about depth? It neutralizes an opponent's power and their ability to really kind of bully us. All right, so not to say that I have to get, you know, the ball landing like kind of on the baseline, but if I'm working the ball consistently off my backhand, just simply want to be working the ball into the back third of the tennis court. Okay, notice that depth. Sure, I'm still hitting backhands, but I'm not trying to crush them. I'm not trying to hit lines. I'm playing within my means, and Mark's ball, albeit still into my backhand side, is not damaging me. That's something to be very aware of. It's not like we're ever going to just not see backhands. But if the times we do see backhands and we feel like our backhand's a slight liability, and we're not getting driven back behind the court because we've created depth with our ball, it's a pretty simple recipe to follow, okay? So, slight cheat. Start working yourselves off the center of the court if you're a right-handed player, over to the left a little bit. If you're left-handed, obviously go the opposite direction. Cheat over on the serve slightly to create more room for forehand. And then a combination of hitting the middle of the court and working the ball with depth is going to keep you from feeling like that backhand is getting manhandled by your opponent. Okay, so what dictates, you know, when I use my slice versus my drive backhand? There's really 4 examples that I personally kind of almost always go to a slice. Before I get into those 4, the one time I really don't like when a club level player uses slice is simply out of laziness. All right, so take a look at this for example. If Mark feeds me a standard ball right to my left, not driving me deep, not bringing me short, and I see club players go like that, to me that's just a little bit lazy. I'd much rather see you out there turning, getting over to this ball, trying to take a little bigger swing at it with your topspin backhand. Again, simply put, we don't want the backhand to be a liability. So to use slice simply out of kind of laziness or, you know, whatever you may have, let's take every opportunity we can get with a shot like Mark delivered to me to really dictate with some topspin, some heaviness, some good depth, okay? All right, so now on to great times to use the slice. The first is a low ball. I think we all understand that slice really allows for great reach, okay? So when I think about a low backhand, if I try to get into it with my topspin, there's going to be some sort of manufactured finish, if you will. Okay, take a look. Here comes the low ball. I'm going to try to go with my topspin. You know, I've got that big flick, something I've told you that I'm comfortable with, but not a lot of us are. You know, it's just hard. I have to reach to that ball, and I have to help the ball get up from this low position over the top of the net. So the beauty of the slice on the low ball is simply the fact that the strings are open and I've got this really nice reach where the ball just has to connect with the strings and I have naturally built-in elevation. Okay, so take a look. The ball comes in low. I set that backhand slice grip. I got this really comfortable reaching swing, and again, this effortless idea on height over the net. Now, that's me simply just making those shots. I think what's cool is as we get comfortable with the ball being down and committing to slice, now I can start to direct it. I might see my opponent you know, out of position a little bit to one side or the other. I might just want to kind of get it into the backhand. We've even got this cool idea going down the line if the ball's low on my slice of getting that nice peeling action. Might have missed that by a hair, but you can see that cool spin. All of that is created when the ball is down and I'm using that slice. I think it's a great time for slice to be put in play. The next time would be defense, meaning covering the court laterally. I think, as we all know, running down a backhand and maintaining great form is tougher with topspin than it is on the forehand side running the ball down and sticking to topspin. It's rare that I go into a slice forehand simply because I'm covering the court laterally. But on the backhand, again, the reach of the swing and the fact that slice, when I get stretched, gets around the outside of the tennis ball so nicely and brings it back into the court, meaning generally cross court over the low part of the net. It's a great way to hit a confident shot when you're under duress out on the side of the court. A lot of times when I've tried to run a ball down and stick to a drive backhand and hit it a little bigger, I tend to hit late. Let's have a look at it. Mark, give me a tough ball to the corner, running it down. Yeah, that's a pretty common result when I try to go heavy with my backhand and I'm on defense under duress. But watch what happens when I go slice on a similar shot. Pretty effortless shot. So me personally, I feel like that comes off really effortless. And then what a fantastic result. The ball stays low, it skids. I had really nice reach out to contact, absorbed maybe whatever, you know, heaviness was coming in on the ball. Use that backhand slice when you're under duress and really stretched out laterally on the court. Okay, now I referenced the heaviness of the ball coming in. My next time that I really love slice is handling pace. All right, so watch this. I'm going to have Mark feed me heavy topspin into my backhand. Love that, but I might say I was falling back. It might have been a little bit lucky. Oh, there's a good example. Okay, I think we've all felt that happen. The heaviness comes in. We're trying to hang with it. One more time here, Mark. There's that late ball. It was barely over the top of the tape. Hit it kind of late. It's into my opponent's forehand. So even if that looks quality, it's not. Now, I go slice here a lot if the ball comes in that heavy, because two things. One, the mindset of the opponent is that they're hammering the ball into my backhand. And generally, if I can absorb their pace with slice and it looks like I'm managing, a lot of times it gets my opponent to try to go bigger on the next ball. All of a sudden, they're hitting some unforced errors because I'm using slice. Number two, I feel like I control his pace and the direction of where my ball goes and the depth of my ball so much better when he hits with that heavy power and spin off my slice. So take a look. Here's those same feeds, and I'm going slice. Okay, I purposely went line there. That didn't feel late. That ball skids and stays low. I'll be able to take the same exact shot. Okay, so I'm absorbing the pace. His ball, while coming in big, is not affecting me all that much simply because that racket angle of the slice absorbs the pace, elevates the ball out there. I don't have to swing super fast, and I can direct those shots. And again, the faster and heavier that ball comes in, so long as I make good contact, it nets me out some really good depth generally. I'd have to let the ball pretty much get behind my body before I start seeing it land a little too shallow where he might be attacking me. So all in all, I use slice against really heavy stuff. Of course, I trust my topspin backhand if I position a little deeper. against a lot of players. But if it just is that huge ball that we all see once in a while to the backhand side, go into that slice, absorb their pace, see if you can almost frustrate them with it. Look how easy I'm handling your pace. Get them to overhit a couple. Problem solved, okay? And then fourth option. I love a slice backhand on approach shots, all right? So let's have a look here. I'm going to come in, use my little reverse crossover step to hold those shoulders sideways. It's not really a technique lesson, but in order to hit a good, solid approach slice, I've got to maintain that shoulder turn. So that reverse crossover step's important. The main idea here is as I get into net, what do I love to see when I get into the net? High volleys or low volleys? Very clearly, I love high volleys. All right, so the fact that my slice is going to stay down near the ground on my approach, I'm going to get these high volleys because off that approach, maybe one of the best approach shots of my life, by the way, that ball has to elevate. They have to get down and pick it up. Even if they use a slice of their own from that side, the ball is coming up some. So as we come to net, to be able to see stuff closer to eye level means we're getting a great look at a put-away volley on the first shot. Now, not to say I don't use a drive backhand, but watch the height of the bounce if I drive the approach. All right, so Mark, set your forehand real quick. Good. So maybe I hit it heavy enough to make him hit late. Like I said, I probably am not going into his forehand. I'm not going right at him, but that's more of an idea about the height of the ball. We want to be thinking that the opponent is going to have a better chance to do damage to us as we come to the net as the ball sits up higher for them. They can get it down to our feet. They've got a clearer look over the top of the tape for passing shots. They have some height built in if they threw in a topspin lob. So if I see an area to hit a nice clean winner on my approach, of course I'm using that drive backhand. But on a general basis, I'll take my slice backhand on the approach, keep that ball low, and look for that higher volley to put away. Really a fantastic time to use slice, okay? So, don't use slice out of laziness. That's number one most important thing. And then we're loving it when the ball's low around the baseline. We're loving it when we get stretched wide and we're under duress. We're loving it when we handle pace into our backhand side. And we're loving it when we take the ball as an approach shot in order to keep it low and hopefully get in behind some higher volleys. 4 great times to use that backhand slice instead of a drive backhand.